Are those kittens? Are those kittens? Are those kittens? Do I hear kittens? Oh my god! No. If you find kittens, mom can probably find them too. So it's important to know that you don't need to pick up the kittens unless they're in immediate danger, like a flood, maybe they've been bitten, they have a broken leg, or something serious. Don't touch the kittens. Leave the kittens where you found them. Mom will probably be looking for them and be hoping to raise them normally. If you do take them away from their mother, they have a less likely chance to survive, unless again in danger or they have serious health issues. There are some things to recognize in unhealthy kittens. Any type of symptoms like lethargy, diarrhea, any vomiting, not eating, seeming wimpy, anything like that, they probably need to be taken to a veterinarian as soon as possible. The veterinarian can then prescribe some things like dewormers, antibiotics, probiotics, and sub-Q fluids. A lot of times kittens that haven't been eating or are sickly will have a low glucose, so they need to be fed things that are a little bit more nutritious. There are also concerns about cost when it comes to kittens, as well as potential deaths. Kittens that are sickly don't have a great prognosis of survival most of the time when it comes to being so sick that the mother has rejected them or they have been not eating. When it comes to things like feeding, for the first 4 weeks of life, they need to be fed milk, whether it be kitten milk that you get from PetSmart or your veterinarian. When it comes to kitten milk, there are two types of really good kitten milk that give them the nutrition that they need. The two types of kitten milk that you should possibly buy are KMR and Espalac. Again, these are places you can get at your local pet store, possibly even feed store, or your local veterinarian. After 4 weeks, you can start feeding them dry food or kibble. So they'll start eating on their own at that point. In order to know age, you're either going to need to know someone who's experienced in kittens and their ages, or go to your local veterinarian. They can tell you about where they are health-wise and what they need to be fed. Whenever you start feeding dry food or just regular food that they can get on their own, you want to start with wet just to entice them. Whether it be a meat-flavored baby food to entice them to eat, or canned food that is specifically made for kittens, or even a type of specific prescription diet for felines specifically. If you're concerned about kittens being healthy, it's always a good idea to take them in to be checked out by a veterinarian. If you're really concerned about the kittens and you think that the mother may not be coming back, watch them for 24 hours. Make sure that the mom hasn't come back, hasn't fed them, isn't looking for them, things like that. Then you can take matters into your own hands, whether you call your local animal control or you take them yourself and you decide you want to treat them. Something also that you should know about kittens, they do have diseases, whether it be parasites, whether it be infectious disease, something they could be born with. These things can be spread to your other pets. Typically, they are not zoonotic. Some parasitic issues can become zoonotic and they can infect you as well as your dog or their cat. So it's very important to quarantine kittens. Make sure that they are in a separate room for your other animals. As you can see, we have my bathroom area that we are quarantining these kittens in so that they do not affect my other pets while I'm treating them and making them better. If you decide to take kittens into your care and you are going to possibly foster them out or give them to a friend, maybe you don't want to keep them, maybe you do, it's important to socialize them. Socialize them with people, with other cats, with other dogs once they're healthy. Without socializing cats, they can become very fearful, very anxious, and not like social interactions, which There we have a fractious cat that can become a severe challenge, especially in veterinary situations. While you're taking care of kittens, it's very important to keep things clean. When it comes to bathing them, they get diarrhea, they get sticky things all over them. You need to bathe them so that we're having a chance of wiping away all of those germs, and we're not going to reinfect with things like parasitic disease that can be ingested, even with FLV, those things can be transferred from fecal matter and saliva. So you want to be keeping these kittens very clean. You want to be changing their litter boxes at least 3 or 4 times a day. And on top of that, giving them baths. So you do want to keep everything sanitary, you want to keep everything clean. I can't tell you how many times I've used Clorox wipes on the bottom of this pour. And everywhere, constantly. I think since I've had these kittens for 2 weeks, I've bathed them almost every day, if not every other day, just to keep them clean. Wait, you got yucky on your booty. Medicating kittens and cats can be tricky. I find that liquid medication is the best way to go with kittens so that they just have a better chance of keeping it down. Especially when it comes to dewormers, a lot of those are liquids, so you'll want to give small bits at a time. It can become an aspiration issue if you are giving a whole syringe of things and they can't swallow it fast enough. Yo, cushy. I know, yeah. What are these? On the topic of rejection and why this will happen, and on the topic of rejection and why a mother cat may reject her kittens. One of the reasons is mastitis. This is where the mastitis is where the nipples can become infected, whether by scratch or biting or other things the kittens may be doing. They become dry, things like that. This can cause the mother to have tender nipples and not want to feed or allow her kittens to suckle. So she will reject the kittens and basically let them fend for themselves. Another reason for a mother to reject her kittens is if they have deformities or infections. She can't well take care of them anymore, so she's not going to waste her time and energy. Rejection because of those things are very typical. Also, another reason why a mother may reject her kittens is if they leave the nest. Maybe the kitten gets away from the mom, and at that point, she lets them kind of do their own thing again. Or if she has a large litter and isn't producing enough milk, can't bring enough food for the kittens, the mother will reject them and allow them to fend for themselves again. Sometimes when a mother cat is too young, she will become traumatized by the birth and reject her kittens. She's not even at the point to where she has matured fully. She hasn't matured fully, so she doesn't want the kittens, becomes anxious of the kittens, things like that. Sometimes as a natural defense mechanism against predators, the mother will separate the kittens into other areas of hideouts. So it may not be necessarily that it's being rejected, but maybe she did that strategically. Again, if you're concerned, watch these kittens over a 24-hour period and take it to your local veterinarian to have a physical exam done. It's very important, whether you have your own cat at home or you are deciding to take care of a feral colony, you need to spay and neuter those animals and you need to vaccinate those animals. There are certain diseases that can be prevented by getting vaccines. And when it comes to fatality versus survival, vaccines are cheap, penny on the dime. When it comes to vaccines that are given at veterinary hospitals, they're more regulated. Sometimes at feed stores, the vaccines can be outside of a refrigerator for an extended period of time, and the vaccines become null and void at this point. This is why the creators of these vaccines at feed stores cannot 100% guarantee that their vaccines will keep your pet safe. Vaccines that are given at veterinary hospitals are more guaranteed. In fact, let's say you have the information on the vaccine that was given to your pet and your pet ends up extracting the disease anyways, that company will pay for the treatment of your animal anyways. So that's the difference in feed supply vaccines versus veterinary hospital vaccines.
Meal.